Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside today is 67.6 degrees with a low of 56.9 degrees, so expect a mild fall day perfect for getting out and about. Coming up, we'll examine the reasons behind President Trump's threats to suspend aid to Nigeria and even consider military action there. Plus, break down the Dodgers' impressive repeat victory as World Series champions. We'll also cover other key stories from around the globe and closer to home. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Good morning, folks. We're starting today's top story with escalating tensions between the United States and Nigeria, where President Donald Trump is turning up the heat on what he calls religious persecution. Joining me now from the studio to break this down is our foreign affairs reporter, Ethan. Ethan, take us through what's happening.
Thanks, Grace. Yesterday, President Trump ramped up his rhetoric on Truth Social, threatening to slam the door on all U.S. aid to Nigeria, and even ordering the Pentagon, which he cheekily calls the Department of War, to draw up plans for possible military action. This comes just 2 days after his October 31st announcement, designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern, or CPC, under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998. For those unfamiliar, a CPC label flags nations with severe religious freedom violations, potentially leading to sanctions like cutting aid.
That's a big move, Ethan. What exactly did Trump say in those posts?
According to a CNBC article published yesterday at 5:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Trump warned that if Nigeria keeps allowing what he terms the killing of Christians by Islamic terrorists and radical Islamists, the U.S. will halt all assistance and might charge in guns ablazing to wipe out those groups. He called any operation fast, vicious, and sweet, framing it as protecting cherished Christians from an existential threat. It's a sharp pivot, echoing urgings from Senator Ted Cruz, who weeks ago pushed Congress to label Nigeria a religious freedom violator due to what he called Christian mass murder.
And the Pentagon's response? Is this just talk, or are there real plans brewing?
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth jumped on board quickly, posting on X, formerly Twitter, with a simple yes sir and affirming that the Department of War is gearing up. As CBS News and the San Francisco Chronicle reported yesterday, he echoed Trump's call to either let the Nigerian government protect Christians or have the U.S. step in to take down the terrorists. But as of this morning, no public documents from the Department of Defense or U.S. Africa Command, known as AFRICOM, show specific orders, timelines, or troop movements. AFRICOM usually focuses on training and intel sharing with Nigerian forces, not direct fights.
Nigeria's side of the story must be firing back. What's President Tinubu saying?
Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu hit back swiftly on social media yesterday, as detailed in CNBC and KPRC Click 2 Houston reports. He stressed that religious freedom and tolerance are core to Nigeria's identity, with their constitution protecting all faiths, and called the claims ill-informed and unhelpful. The Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson added they're committed to defending everyone regardless of creed. Tinubu's even planning a meeting with Trump to clear the air and boost counterterrorism ties, per Vanguard Nigeria and Punch newspapers.
To understand the context, can you explain the violence in Nigeria? Trump's painting it as targeted at Christians, but is it that simple?
Absolutely, Grace. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, with about 220 million people split evenly between Christian South and Muslim North, faces complex insecurity. Groups like Boko Haram, which means Western education is forbidden in Arabic, and its offshoot Islamic State West Africa province have ravaged the Northeast since 2009, aiming for strict Islamic law and hitting both Christians and Muslims. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom's 2025 annual report, cited by Human Rights Watch and the U.S. State Department, says religious freedom stayed poor in 2024, with attacks killing thousands and displacing millions. For example, Amnesty International reported a January 2025 Boko Haram assault in Chibok, Borno State, killing at least 10 Christians, burning churches, and forcing conversions under death threats. But data from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED, and the Council on Foreign Relations, Nigeria Security Tracker, through early 2025, shows most deaths in the Muslim North affect Muslims more. From 2020 to 2025, ACLED logged 389 attacks on Christians, killing 318 versus 197 on Muslims, killing 418. Boko Haram has slain around 60,000 Muslims since 2009 per Intersociety via VOA Africa and Crux Now.
And the other factors? Not just religion?
Right, it's multifaceted. Farmer-herder clashes in the Middle Belt stem from land and water fights worsened by climate change, though ethnic lines, like Muslim Fulani herders versus Christian farmers, add fuel. Amnesty tallied 1,333 deaths, including 260 children, in Plateau State from December 2023 to February 2024, with a Christmas Day 2023 attack killing about 140. Banditry in the Northwest involves kidnappings for ransom, like nearly 400 in Kaduna in March 2024, including 287 schoolchildren, says Human Rights Watch. The UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports over 4,000 civilian deaths in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe in 2024, with 2.3 million displaced nationwide by December 2024. Overall, from May 2023 to May 2025, Amnesty verified over 10,217 killings, victims of mixed faiths. Advocacy groups like Open Doors claim over 7,000 Christians killed and 8,000 kidnapped in early 2025, backing Trump's threat talk. But USCIRF and Human Rights Watch stress mixed motives: criminal, ethnic, resource-based, not pure religious war. Even the Vatican Secretary of State Pietro Parolin told Crux Now it's more social, like herder-farmer disputes. Methodologies vary, with ACLED relying on local reports that sometimes infer religion from community demographics.
Any international fallout yet?
Reactions are cautious. ECOWAS and the African Union haven't spoken formally, but The Guardian and Dawn.com hint at worries over U.S. militarism in Africa. The UN's quiet, though a May 2025 report flagged food insecurity for 7.8 million in the Northeast. The UK and EU, after recent talks with Nigeria, haven't commented, but the European Parliament urged better protections in August 2025. Outlets like Hindustan Times and Yahoo News warn this could sour U.S.-Nigeria ties, which get hundreds of millions in annual aid, including $346 million in weapons sales approved in August 2025.
On the aid cuts, what's at stake?
The CPC designation allows penalties under the International Religious Freedom Act, but no federal register notice on specifics like suspending foreign military financing or USAID programs has dropped as of today, per Economic Times and ADF International. Trump's all-aid threat hits big programs like PEPFAR, over $6 billion to Nigeria since 2003, partly paused in January 2025. Earlier cuts slashed 83% of global USAID, hurting 25,000 malnourished Nigerian kids, says NIH.gov and The Nation Online. Analysts in Catholic World Report and VOA News say this plays to Trump's evangelical base, but risks worsening insecurity and alienating partners. NPR and CBC.ca note Nigeria was delisted in 2023 to build ties.
Phew, that's a powder keg waiting to ignite. Thanks for unpacking this so thoroughly, Ethan.
My pleasure, Grace.
Sources for this story include CNBC, The Washington Post, Associated Press, KPRC, Click 2 Houston, CBS News, San Francisco Chronicle, The Guardian, KPBS.org, USCIRF, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, U.S. State Department, ACLED, Council on Foreign Relations, Intersociety, VOA Africa, Crux Now, Open Doors, ADF International, Catholic News Agency, persecution.org. Stay tuned for Story 2. Chloe, what an incredible night for Los Angeles sports fans. The Dodgers have done it again, repeating as World Series champions with a thrilling Game 7 win over the Toronto Blue Jays. Walk us through this historic victory.
Absolutely, Grace. Last night, on November 2nd, 2025, the Dodgers edged out the Blue Jays 5-4 in an 11-inning epic at Rogers Center in Toronto. According to MLB.com, this marks their 9th title in franchise history and the first repeat since the Yankees' three-peat from 1998 to 2000. For those unfamiliar, a three-peat means winning 3 in a row, and this Dodgers run revives that rare National League streak not seen since the Reds' back-to-back in 1975 and 76.
9 titles, that's dynasty territory. How did this Game 7 unfold? It sounds like a real nail-biter.
It was pure drama from the start, Grace. As NBC Los Angeles recapped in Michael Duarte's update, the Blue Jays jumped to a 3-0 lead after 3 innings, thanks to Bo Bichette's 443-foot 3-run homer on the first pitch from Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani, the two-way superstar and National League MVP favorite, struggled in his 1 inning on short rest, his 3rd postseason start. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts told MLB.com postgame, quote, "He didn't have it tonight, but has the face of baseball," end quote, carrying those sky-high expectations like a heavy bat.
Ohtani not having his best night, yet they still pulled it off. What about the tension on the field?
Tensions boiled over in the 4th, when reliever Justin Roleski hit Blue Jays second baseman Andres Gimenez on the hands, nearly clearing the benches, but umps issued warnings with no ejections. Gimenez, traded from the Cleveland Guardians on December 10, 2024, per ESPN logs, was key in Toronto's push. The Jays extended to 4-2 in the 8th on Ernie Clement's RBI double. Clement tied the postseason hits record with 30, as AP News highlighted. But veteran Max Scherzer, signed by Toronto for $15.5 million in the offseason, starred in Game 7, tossing 4 1/3 innings of 1-run ball at 96 miles per hour, earning a standing ovation per NBC Los Angeles. Blue Jays skipper John Schneider called him awesome to them, echoing his 2019 Game 7 magic with the Nationals.
Scherzer, at 41, still dealing heat. How did the Dodgers claw back? They were down but not out.
Exactly, they dodged defeat like pros. Single runs in the 4th and 6th narrowed it to 3-2, stranding 10 runners against Toronto's tight defense full of diving stops and double plays. Then the 9th inning turned legendary. Down 4-3 against closer Jeff Hoffman, backup Miguel Rojas, who barely started before Game 6, crushed a solo homer to tie it at 4-all. MLB.com notes it's the first 9th inning tying homer in World Series Game 7 history, confirmed by The Guardian. Rojas told CBS News he was aiming to get on for Ohtani, but connected on that slider perfectly.
Rojas playing hero from the bench. Love that underdog story. And extras? This went long.
Oh yes, extras were edge of your seat, bases loaded in the 10th for both, but they escaped. In the 11th, catcher Will Smith smashed a go-ahead solo homer off Shane Bieber, acquired from Cleveland on July 31, 2025, despite his Tommy John rehab per TSN. That made it 5-4, and Smith's teammates swarmed him like victory bees. Bottom half, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doubled and bunted to 3rd, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto, on 0 rest after his Game 6 gem, induced a force out and snagged a 400-foot fly from Clement after a near outfield collision, sealing it with a 6-4-3 double play from Mookie Betts at short. Yamamoto's 2 2/3 scoreless innings earned him the win and series MVP, his 3rd victory with a 1.45 postseason ERA, as MLB.com announced. He told AP News via translator, quote, "I adjusted my mechanics in the bullpen and trusted myself," end quote. Roberts called it next-level grit.
Yamamoto, the Japanese phenom, stepping up huge. This all hands-on-deck pitching with Snell, Glasnow, Ohtani all on short rest. Must have been risky but rewarding.
It was, Grace. The rotation showed cracks after dominating rounds, relying on a spotty bullpen that Roberts said to NBC Los Angeles embodied their imperfect season. But their postseason path was solid, sweeping the Reds 2-0 in the wildcard at home, first since 2022 format per MLB.com. Then 4-2 over Phillies in NLDS, winning 4 after dropping the opener, and a 3-0 NLCS sweep of Brewers with historic rotation stats. This avenges losses like the 2021 NLCS flop and early exits in 2022 and 23.
And the build-up? Off-season moves turned them into champions.
President Andrew Friedman built what he called to MLB.com the greatest pitching staff ever, adding Cy Young winner Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki, Tanner Scott, and Kirby Yates per LA Times via DodgersNation.com. Injuries hit hard early, Snell after 2 starts, Glasnow after 5, Sasaki after 8, but they peaked in August as MLB's best over the last 2 months per Baseball Reference. The bullpen was an eyesore, with Scott and Yates benched for the series. Fans on Reddit's r/baseball hailed Ohtani's $700 million deferred deal as the greatest free agent grab ever, freeing payroll and sparking dynasty talks amid balanced debates. Mookie Betts now has 4 rings, the only active player, per SI.com, from his Red Sox trade.
Freddie Freeman said it best, the uniform demands wins. Any celebrations planned?
Big ones. Tomorrow, November 3rd, the city of LA announced a free parade at 11 a.m. Pacific from Temple and Broadway, west on Temple, south on Grand, west on 7th, north on Figueroa to 5th, with players on double-deckers. Then a ticketed rally at Dodger Stadium at 12:15 p.m., gates at 8:30, entry 9, tickets from noon today at dodgers.com/postseason per MLB.com, LA Times, CBS News. Expect road closures, use Metro or Metrolink, no driving advised, broadcast on Sportsnet LA, CBS 2, and more. Emotional scenes too. Kershaw retires with 3 rings, honoring late Alex Vesia with 51 on hats per NBC Los Angeles. Ohtani and Yamamoto teared up hugging. Toronto Schneider told The Guardian they built belief despite the heartbreak.
What a repeat to savor, clipping the Blue Jays' wings just in time. Thanks for the play-by-play, Chloe.
My pleasure, Grace.
Here are some other headlines. Ukraine says it has put a ring on Russia's fuel flow by striking the Koltsovoy, or Ring pipeline, in the Remensky district southeast of Moscow late Friday, October 31, 2025. Kiev's military intelligence claims all 3 fuel lines, gasoline, diesel, and jet, were knocked out, a pipeline punch that, they argue, hits logistics where it hurts. Chief Kirilo Budanov boasts these deep strikes have had more impact than sanctions, as Russian officials stop short of confirming the blast, instead flagging a flurry of intercepted drones over multiple regions. If confirmed, the blow would bottleneck the war machine's octane, turning supply lines into dotted lines, as a vital artery moving fuel from refineries to front lines is left on the ropes amid broader Ukrainian drone assaults. On Wall Street's breakfast menu, Berkshire Hathaway served a heaping Buffett third-quarter net earnings, up 17% to $30.8 billion, with a side of operating profit jumping more than 33%, or roughly 17%, when you scrape off foreign currency frosting. The mild hurricane season gave insurance a sunny run and investments added sizzle. The conglomerate's cash mountain now towers near $382 billion, enough dry powder to start a financial fireworks show. This is the final scorecard before the year-end handoff. At 95, Warren Buffett steps down as CEO, passing the baton to Greg Abel, the vice chairman of non-insurance ops. Investors will watch how Abel, by name and by nature, proves able on capital deployment, while Buffett stays on as chairman, the oracle still in the boardroom, if not in the driver's seat, as markets ponder the next chapter in the company's playbook. In tech, the cloud had weather, then a clearing. Microsoft says an inadvertent tenant configuration change in Azure Front Door blew the hinges off access at about 15:45 Coordinated Universal Time on October 29th. A rollback to the last known good configuration restored service by early October 30th, turning a front door faceplant into a back-to-basics fix. The outage rippled from Microsoft 365 to Xbox Live, Minecraft, and corporate customers, including Alaska Airlines. A reminder that when a few mega providers sneeze, the internet catches a cold. Coming just a week after a major AWS wobble, the episode raises resilience questions, even as Microsoft patches the protection mechanism that let the bad config through, a silver lining sewn with rollback thread. In Italy, spirits met the spirit of the law. Finance police seized about $1.5 billion minus €1.30 billion in assets from Lagfin, the Luxembourg holding that controls Campari, in a probe over alleged unpaid exit tax on roughly $5.7 billion in merger gains. Campari itself isn't under investigation, but Chairman Luca Garavaglia and Italian unit head Giovanni Berto are being probed. Lagfin calls the move a precaution in a 2-year tax dispute and vows to stir, not shake, its defense, insisting control of Campari remains on the rocks but intact, with over 50% of shares and 80% of voting rights still in its glass. And in Idaho, a high-stakes horse track raid ended with 5 arrests on gambling charges and 105 on immigration violations at La Catedral Arena in Wilder. More than 200 officers from at least 14 agencies swept in on October 19th. Roughly 400 people were detained for hours, including U.S. citizens. The FBI says the primary focus was illegal gambling, while civil rights groups decry what they call military-style tactics, helicopters, rubber bullets, even zip-tied children, raising due process concerns as immigration enforcement and criminal probes run in tandem, tightening the reins across Idaho's largest Hispanic community. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with GPT-5, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.